Hi everyone, today we have invited the lead migration consultant at Sanji Caldera Associates to discuss about some very important matters in terms of migration. Now, recently the government announced the 2021 and 2022 financial year budget. Now, Sanji, first of all, welcome to the Sri Lanka Morning Show program once again. And we would like to know, are there any significant changes or impacts from the budget to the migration?
Thank you, Tushara, for having me today. It's very welcoming news for the migrant community. The government has decided to maintain the same level of migration from last year. So the 2021-22 the migration intake would be maintained at 160,000 people, migrants, which is very similar to the last year. Mm-hmm. That's quite welcoming, taking into account the COVID-19 issues and the border restrictions that we have.
Mm-hmm. Right. Now, when we consider about the current budget, the latest budget, are there any special announcements in the budget?
The announcement, the main announcement was the intake and where they will be focusing. As you know that the borders are closed, offshore migrants, skilled migrants still cannot come to Australia. Mm-hmm. So, but we are maintaining the 160,000. So at the moment, the first half, they would concentrate on the onshore applicants. We have many applicants onshore, the students who are moving into permanent residency options. So they are concentrating on three main visa categories.
Mm-hmm. What are those categories?
Those are the employer-nominated visa applicants. They will be given priority. So we have various different employer nomination schemes. Mm-hmm. The second will be the subclass 188, which is the business migration. Mm-hmm. And in fact, business migrants from offshore are still allowed and invited, and their visas are approved. So they have accelerated that program. And we have now the global talent visa. That is where when we can't meet the criteria for a general skill migrant or a business migrant, but they can contribute to the society. Very special cases, a very interesting category called the global talent visa will come, and at some stage we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, is that something specifically for the offshore applicants or?
No, it is for offshore and onshore applicants. Generally, very briefly if I mention, it is for PhD qualified applicants who can demonstrate that they could earn a salary of approximately 150,000 Australian dollars a year. Mm-hmm. And in specializing in the agri sector, the medical technology, the space, and also in the mining industry, and as I said, in the medical technology sector, and especially the IT sector.
Now, with these changes into the migration, is there any green light for the onshore applicants, especially for the students who completed their studies?
Yes, Tushara, because as I said, initially I said the 160,000 are maintained. If there are no offshore visa applicants which are going to come here, they would need to concentrate, and there is a lot of focus on the onshore applicants. Specifically, as I mentioned before, the employer-sponsored categories, mm-hmm. or the state-sponsored categories, there is a lot of emphasis. And we also have got another short list called the priority occupation, skilled occupation list, mm-hmm. which has like doctors, nurses, and certain IT professions. Therefore, they will be given a speedy outcome on the applications.
Any other special announcements in the budget?
Yes, we have had a situation where we had a sponsored parent visa, which was called the 870 visa, and it was given for parents for 5 years. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, there are many parents who have got this visa offshore but they can't come to Australia and the time of their 5 years is running out. So they have made a special concession to extend that visa by 1.5 years.
Right. So if they haven't been here yet, so for another, in addition to the 5 years period, so they are allowing
another one and a half years. And then recently they realized there was a scarcity of skilled people in the hospitality. So they even now allow, especially it has been announced recently, that students who have been restricted for 20 hours a week, now they could work full time if they were studying and also if they were in the hospitality industry.
It's a good news for the students who are currently studying and finish their studies in hospitality.
Certainly there it is, and especially it is very useful to get their work experience up to date by and making use of this opportunity.
Right. Now, with what you said so far, now is that means the government is going to discourage offshore applicants, or how that works?
No, certainly not. We the indication of maintaining the 160,000 means that they do have plans to, once the borders are open and it's safe and we have some sort of procedure, that certainly that the balance of the quota will be taken up by offshore applicants. So it's the time for the offshore applicants not to be discouraged, but get their papers ready by getting their skill assessment and by having their English and their requirements ready, because there'll be definitely opportunity, and that is a clear indication of the budget that they're maintaining.
So Sanji, now before we wind up today's session, are there any special announcements or anything else that you want to share with our viewers?
Yeah, there are some news items that I would like to briefly discuss. One thing is we have this COVID 408 visa, and to that people who apply for that and who are in the hospitality sector will be given a 12 months visa with work rights. That's another very good and encouraging news. The New South Wales government is trying to look at getting the students
International students
as soon as possible. Of course, they will have to discuss with the central government. The South Australian government is, through the state sponsorship, is trying to encourage offshore applicants and give them invitation. So that indicates that the offshore migration program is alive.
Right.
And so that's very good news. And I always, as I said, right through this process, the business migration program is the government's big focus, to get business migrants to come to Australia and invest. And as I may have mentioned before, other than the permanent resident and the citizens, they are the only visa category holders who could freely travel to Australia.
And it's a good news for our viewers. If you have friends and family who are willing to apply for business visa or for the offshore category, so still there is a room, and there are plenty of opportunities in future. So thank you very much for coming and sharing this valuable information with us, Sanji, and we hope to have you once again to talk about some important migration topics.
Thank you, Sir Shara. It has been a pleasure being here.